You know, my dad had a great kind of typically East European sense of humor, full of irony. I think he's enjoying this whole process tremendously, that we can't find him and that he's hiding from us like a cosmic game of hide and seek. Quick, I want to get buried out here.
Maybe when we're digging your grave, we'll find Dad. I think we should get. Mom, where would you have put him? Why not under the cross? We already tried to look for my dad, and we were digging everywhere where we thought he might be based on my mom. Marking the area in the woods with a cross. I kept thinking my mom probably wouldn't put him there if she didn't want us to find him.
All those years that we could have asked her to point out specifically where the remains were, none of us did. I think because we all kind of assumed we knew.
I always had an impression he was like deep in the woods, like past the pond, but everyone else seems to remember him being by the ravine, by the pond.
My dad died in 1989, and then, Dad was cremated, and Mom was living here alone for a little while after Dad passed away, and she wanted to, bury his remains in the woods near the pond because both of them loved the woods so much.
I think Dad was on an urn on the mantle, either in a box or an urn or something for a while. Mom got really upset with us, and she said, "I've waited too long. I wanted you all to come. I wanted us all to go out and bury Dad in the woods, and I just did it myself." And I remember saying, "Mom, how could you have done that?" And she said, "Well, I just did it. I just did it."
I'm thinking this is an exercise in futility. It is a beautiful day to be out in the woods, though. But and it's fun being with everybody. But I'm wondering if it's even in a container, or if you just put the ashes in the ground. And if that's the case, they're up in the trees already.
I'm not sure why I'm digging when we're in an age of modern power machinery, but I'm digging.
What happened to the shovel?
Oh, I stepped in it.
I mean, we've dug this whole area up. I think we really need to go either deeper or
Elsewhere?
Or all of us concentrate and dig the whole thing up, and it's not worth it. It's better with the mini excavator, so.
Grandma passed away this year, last July. She had told all of us at different times where she had buried the remains, but everybody has a slightly different memory of where she told them. And it's also possible that she told everybody slightly different things. You know, she wouldn't necessarily say the same thing twice or even feel like it was important to be very accurate. I think Grandma almost had a disdain for accuracy sometimes. Grandma never liked to do things the same way twice. Like a big struggle in the kitchen was always trying to find something. Like if I was trying to cook and I wanted to find a pot or a pan, I'd have to look every single time because I never knew where it would be. Things were never put in the same place twice.
And that's kind of how Grandma operated. You know, she would put something in exactly where she wanted it, and it would all make sense if you came at it from her point of view, but to anyone else it kind of felt chaotic and nonsensical at times.
You know, she was an artistic type. You know, she loved music and poetry. She was a great musician, but she wasn't super organized. So yeah, losing things, misplacing things was a fairly common occurrence, and forgetting about details like where something was, sure, all the time. Mother was walking on one of the walks down through the meadow into the woods, and she lost her teeth, her false teeth. We were all walking on another walk another time, and he looked down and there they were. He found them in this whole expanse of woods, a little tiny thing. I mean, look at the ground. Like, how would you see something? But the lesson is things that are lost can be found out here.
There was one time Grandma lost her teeth for quite a long time and Ken found them in a jar of milk. I don't think you should include that. It's a little too gross. My mom and my dad, you know, are both immigrants. My mom was originally born in Ukraine to a family that considered itself culturally Russian. My dad was an immigrant from Poland.
My mom and dad met in Buffalo. My father was a Polish war hero, came to the United States after the war, but he was also a musician. When he was in Buffalo, he had a band. He was playing at an event. They were the musicians, and my mom was a dancer in a Ukrainian folk troupe. And he was completely smitten, and they married. When my brother was 5, entering into kindergarten, we had to receive polio vaccinations for the first time. 2 weeks after he had it, he became paralyzed. And that was a huge tragedy in our family because he was just this beautiful boy. My parents wanted something better for my brother because he was paralyzed, and they didn't want him to be made fun of by the neighborhood, and so they found this property that was all woods. I don't know how in the world my father could pay all those hospital bills and still be able to buy property like that.
Visiting my grandma's house when I was a kid almost felt like visiting a magical fairyland. So we'd spend a lot of time outside playing, and she would just let us roam free. Now when I go back and visit the house, it's almost like visiting a museum. I think only our family can appreciate the beauty of it.
So, what do you think about selling the house?
Grandma maybe even just dumped the ashes right in the ground and buried the ashes loose, in which case, obviously, they're not recoverable. That might have been something that Grandma might have even done purposefully because Grandma really didn't want our family to give up this property in the woods that she loved so much. Making sure that Dad's remains had to stay on the property might have been a way that she would try and ensure that we kept it that way.
So is this, you're keeping this one?
This one is it's probably going to go up.
Do you want all these receipts in a big file somewhere?
Sure. The trust that we have, the 3 of us are named, He said the easiest thing would be to not spend any more money, because he always says that, because he's my financial planner. Don't spend any more money and just sell it. The three of us sell it, done. I'm not totally happy. I'm going to cry my eyes out. But
I know. Me too.
I don't know what else to do, because I can't keep spending like this.
No, I know. Same,
Yeah.
us too.
Yeah.
We've worked so hard just to get like a little bit better off financially, and now, now I got all these medical bills, and so it's
Your insurance
going the
doesn't
wrong
cover
direction.
it?
Not all of it. I mean, I have to pay the out of pocket, which is $10,000 a year.
You're kidding.
No.
He said that we could get this appraised for $300. So he asked me what it was worth, and I thought couldn't be less than $400.
Oh.
So
Well, that'd
that's
be
what
nice
I
for
think.
all of us.
Well, that's what I think, because it's 40 acres.
Yeah.
As long as we couldn't find him, I felt like we were trapped into a position that we couldn't do something with that property if we needed to, and that is the only thing we have really that any one of us has as a safeguard. But we all love that property, and nobody really wants to sell it, and nobody really wants to abandon it. We want to honor our parents. I actually think it's more my mom's idea than my dad's to keep it forever. I think my dad, I have all the plans. I think John has copies as well that was to be developed and to move on. Jason, are you family or what? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We were right here by the, oh my goodness.
You missed it by an inch.
Oh my goodness. We dug everywhere here.
Too darn deep.
No, there's no way. Oh my goodness. Oh my dad.
Oh my God, Jason, so
Oh
fast.
my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So we found Grandpa. We did what I was saying from the start, and we got heavy equipment out there, and we found Grandpa instantly.
To find my dad, meant two things, that they would be able to be buried together, but also that we have the freedom to do what is right for our kids, for us, for our heritage, for them. We can make that choice without, on our own. We have the freedom to make that choice, and it feels like it's the right order of things to have my father memorialized properly.
I felt really distraught over that rather than happy at first, because maybe having him buried there made me feel tethered to the property in a good way, like there's a connection there. And, when you untether something or uproot, something that's holding you there, it kind of was making me think about, like what's important about holding on to the things that our parents did or our ancestors did. What kind of legacy did my parents leave us with?
I'm looking at this big pile of papers that was in my mom's house. It must have been up in the crawl space or the attic. And
It very often might appear that parents didn't accumulate too many tangible possessions or provide so-called security for their children. But is this their only mission in life? It is the intangibles that count.
Bo miłość jest niepokojem, nie zna dnia, który da się powtórzyć. Nagle świat się mieści w twoich oczach. Już nie wiem, czy cię